Greetings, all. Today, I'm going to talk about one of the most debate and emotional charged topic in our justice system: capital punishment, also known as the death penalty. People have strong feeling on both sides of this issue, and I completely understand why. Taking a human life, even one belonging to a convicted killer, is a seriously moral decision. But I stand before you today firmly in favor of capital punishment. I believe it is a necessarily and just form of punishment for the most horrendous crime when it is used properly. The death penalty not only provides justice for the victim and their family, it also serves as a deterrent to violent crime and reinforce the idea that human life is sacred, so sacred that if you deliberately take one, you forfeit your right to your own. In the next few minutes, I will share with you the three reasons why I support the death penalty. One, it acts as a deterrent to violent crime. Two, it provides justice and closure for the victim's family. And three, it can be more practical and cost effective than a life in prison. I will also address the other side of the argument made by those opposed to capital punishment and explain why, even after considering them, I still believe it is a just and necessary practice. The death penalty as a deterrent to violent crime. Let's start with the first reason the death penalty deters violent crime. One of the main purpose of punishment is deterrence. The idea that if the consequences are severe enough, people will think twice before committing a crime. When someone knows they could face execution for taking a life, it raises the stakes. Now, critics often say there is no proof that the death penalty actually deterrent crime, and it is true. The evidence is mixed, but many economic and criminology, like Isaac, have found the connection between the death penalty and reduced mass murder rates. A rich study shows that each execution could potentially prevent s- uh, s- s- serious murder. I mean, severe murders. Think about it logically. If the punishment did not deter behavior, we would not have ticket fines or prison sentence at all. Every law exists because people respond to consequences. The critical ones, the severe of punishment matters. If capital punishment were applied more consecutively and swiftly instead of being delayed for decades, I believe it deterred it effectively would be more far stronger. The message should be clearer. If you take an innocent life, you risk losing your own. Two, justice and closure for the victim's family. The second reason I support the death penalty is because it provides justice and closure for the victim's family. Imagine the moment being the parent of the child brutally murdered or the spouse of someone taken from you in an act of senseless violence. Years go by, the person responsible is still alive, eating 3 square meals a day, watching TV, receiving medical care, and living off of taxpayers' money. That does not sit right with most people, and that's understandably so. Now, capital punishment recognizes the severity of the crime. It says to the family, your loved one's life matters. What happened was unfortunate, and society will hold the person responsible to the highest standard of justice. Now, some calls that revenge, but it's not. It's retribution, and that is more important. Distinguish. Retribution means punishment fits the crime. It is a principle that is being part of justice system for thousands of years. Even philosopher Immanuel Kant agrees that if a murderer is not executed, society itself becomes complacent in the injustice. For many victims, families, and for many victims' family, execution being a sense of finality, it closed a painful chapter and allowed them to move forward, knowing that true justice, was served. For the now, third, economic and practical consideration. The third reason I support the death penalty is the practical and the actual being more cost effective than life in prison if handled properly. Opponents love to point out that the death penalty is expensive due to long appeal and court costs. And they are right. Under the current system, it can be. But that is the problem with the procedure, not the punishment itself. If the legal procedure was streamlined, ensuring a fair trial, reducing unnecessary delay, the cost of execution would be far lower compared to the housing of inmates for 40 to 50 years, paying for food, healthcare, security. Those expenses add up to millions of taxpayer dollars for a single prisoner. We could use those funds for education, victim service, and crime prevention program instead. So when it is done effectively and fairly, capital punishment not only delivers justice, it also helps conserve resources. Now, the counter argument and rebuttal. Now, I want to be fair, of course, and address the other side of this debate. Opponents of capital punishment raise 3 points. One, the risk of wrongful conviction. Two, the moral argument that killing is always wrong. And three, the claim that it does not deter crime. One, the risk of wrongful conviction. It is true, mistakes have happened. Innocent people have been sentenced to death, and that is a tragedy. But we have far advanced in the justice system with the DNA evidence, advanced forensic, and better safeguard. The risk of wrongful execution today has been extremely low. The appeal process in the capital cases is long and tough, sometimes taking decades proceeding and prevent those mistakes. So instead of abolishing the death penalty, we should focus more on making it more accurate and fair, not eliminate it altogether. We we should not stop performing surgery because something went wrong. We should improve the process. The same logic should be applied here. The moral argument. To the moral argument, killing is always wrong. The second objective. The second objective is moral. People say killing is wrong even when the state does it. I understand the viewpoint, but it is confused murder for justice. Murder is unlawful taking of an innocent life. Execution, on the other hand, is a lawful act carried out after the due process is to hold someone accountable for their crime. When society executes a murderer, it is not doing the same thing that the murderer did. It is affirming the rules of law. It is saying we value human lives so much that if you intentionally take one, there is no greater punishment than you losing your own. Capital punishment is not about cruelty. It is about maintaining moral balance between crime and punishment. Three, it does not deter crime. The last major argument is that the death penalty does not really deter crime. Critics often compare murder rates in state with and without the death penalty, but it is misleading. Crime rate depends on many things: poverty, law enforcement, education, social condition, and not just punishment. What matters mostly is certainty. When people know they will be caught and punished swiftly, they will be less likely to commit crime. The problem is not that the death penalty does not work. It is that it is rarely inconsiderately applied. If capital punishment were used more considerately, and if it applies were handled more effectively, it would absolutely send a stronger deterrent message to potential would-be offender. Why capital punishment is still necessary? After looking at both sides, I still believe the case of capital punishment is remain stronger. It is about justice, deterrence, and protection. Some crime are so evil, mass shooting, act of terrorism, serial killing, that no punishment short of death can truly match the gravity of offense. When someone deliberately and brutally take an innocent life, they show complete disregard for human dignity. In that moment, they forfeit their right to live freely and to live at all. Capital punishment ensures that justice is not symbolic, it is real. It reminds everyone that society values life, order, and accountability. And when justice is carried out, it honors the victim, comforts the family, and strengthens morale foundation of the law. Conclusion. In closing, the death penalty is not perfect. No human institution is, but it is necessary part of the just and responsible society. It deters violent crime, it provides closure for the victim, and ensure punishment that fits the crime. It upholds the value of human life by making clear that anyone who deliberately takes will face the ultimate consequences. A justice system without the death penalty risks sending the wrong message that even the worst crime does not deserve the harsh punishment. That is not justice, that's surrender. Capital punishment should not be seen as violence, but as accountability. The price paid for the ultimate violence for a person's right to live. I appreciate your time. Thank you.